Coming soon to own on
YouTube and Twitch. All right. Most epic revenge stories in history. Now, I'm already expecting at least all of this shit supposed to be like ancient history. The earliest one I can probably think is probably like the 1900s. No earlier than like 1970s, maybe 80s. But I'm expecting this shit to be like in the 16th century. A lot of this shit. You know, with that being said, let's get straight into it though.
Today we're going over more extreme revenge stories from history. Peter I of Portugal.
Peter the First of
It's
Portugal.
1340, and Peter, the son of the King of
1340.
Portugal, is unexcitedly awaiting the arrival of his future bride. This marriage wasn't one Peter was looking forward to. In fact, this was all his father, King Alfonso's idea. See, at the time, Portugal was a relatively small kingdom that shared a border
Granddad, Aragon. So I don't know my geologicals, but what did I know? These are not the current. I know this is what it's not called now, but is this all just Portugal now, or are these like called different things or different countries? Like, are the names still the same, or are these different?
with Castile, a large and powerful nation. Understanding it was probably better to make friends and not enemies, Alfonso
Facts.
negotiated a deal to have his son marry the daughter of a powerful Castilian noble. The contracts were signed, and the king felt great that his son's marriage would help keep his kingdom safe and secure. Never in 1,000 years could he imagine what would happen next. The royal procession from Castile arrives, and out steps the most beautiful woman Peter had ever seen. His jaw hits the floor and he can't stop staring. Caramba! She is stunning! A total 10 out of 10 baddie, and the future king instantly falls madly in love. But there was just one problem. The woman he was staring at was actually not his bride. She is a woman named Inés de Castro, his future wife's lady-in-waiting.
Damn, gang. They done set my bro up with a chuzz. Oh no, they didn't give this nigga the. Oh, they give this nigga the chuzz.
His real fiancée, Constanza, exits the carriage next and approaches Peter to introduce herself.
Oh no!
She's nice and all, but as hard as the prince tries to focus on the woman who would soon be his queen, he just can't take his eyes off Inés. Peter and Constanza get married to fulfill the contract signed by their fathers, and they go on to have a very unhappy marriage. The entire time, Peter is not so secretly hooking up with Inés, and rumors of their affair quickly spread through the court. Constanza grows increasingly frustrated with her husband's infidelity, and eventually she tries to get him to name Inés the godmother to one of her children. This was something that in that period would basically make the affair incestuous, but that child died within a week of birth, so Inés dodged that bullet. As frustrated as Constanza was with Peter, his father...
But why is she keeping her around though? You feel me? If it's like, you know she's fucking your man, why the hell you keeping her around?
Alfonso was even more upset. His stupid son couldn't keep it in his pants, and now his affair was putting the entire kingdom at risk. See, an important detail in this story is that Inés's brothers were powerful, but now exiled Castilian noblemen who quickly befriended Peter when he started hooking up with their sister. Peter started to give them important roles in his court, and Alfonso worried that his idiot son might get dragged into some Castilian political war. The king starts trying to banish Inés from Portugal, sending her to various regions in the Iberian Peninsula. But his son just spends all of his time writing letters to her. In the end, all of his efforts to break up his son and side chick fail, and Alfonso's forced to keep Inés closer to him in Lisbon to keep an eye on both of them. Constanza dies in 1349 due to complications from childbirth.
I know this nigga was cheesing. He was jumping up and down when this happened.
Peter is still performing his royal duties of making new heirs, by the way. And when this happens, Peter is overjoyed.
I told you.
He can officially marry Inés and live happily ever after. But King Alfonso is having none of it. He banishes Inés to Coimbra and explicitly forbids Peter from marrying her. Peter unsurprisingly tells his dad to shove it and follows Inés to Coimbra, where they live together and have 4 children. Alfonso is now at his wits' end. These illegitimate heirs could one day try to make a claim for the throne, and Portugal could spiral into a civil war. enough was enough. Ines had been nothing but trouble since she arrived 15 years ago. His son must choose Portugal or this woman. And so, Alfonso hatches a plan to ensure Peter picks correctly. In
Nigga, he picking the
1355,
woman
King
every
Alfonso
time.
sends 3 men to Coimbra. They find Ines in a monastery, and in front of her young children, they cut off her head and leave. Peter returns and finds the love of his life dead, and he is destroyed. He cries loudly, overwhelmed by feelings
Oh,
of grief
nah, they
and
wildin'.
guilt for not being able to protect her.
But like, in what universe is this supposed to make me want to go back home and be like the ruler? If anything, this makes me want to hurt my hometown more. Like, imagine in Invincible. Imagine in Invincible season 1, Omni-Man kills Debbie in front of Mark, and then tries to ask, "Yo, would you join the Viltrum Empire?" Of course, that shit gonna be a hell no. Like, I'm not joining that shit, nigga. You just took the woman I love away from me. Why would I go back to you, nigga? Fuck you.
But soon his tears burn hot with hatred and anger towards his
See?
father. Peter raises an army and begins attacking and terrorizing areas in northern Portugal. In his efforts to prevent a future civil war, the king had accidentally caused exactly what he had.
And I feel like that's how like a lot of people back in the day just went out. They went out trying to prevent the things that they feared the most, making it happen. And I think a lot of that happens because these niggas don't got no like emotional intelligence. Cause like logically, like to them, oh, if I just remove this person from their life, they're gonna automatically come back home. You just killed this nigga's wife in front of his fucking children. In what universe is he gonna come back to you and just be happy about that?
Feared. The forces of Peter and Alfonso fought for nearly the entire year, and in the end, Peter loses. His mother, the queen, is able to negotiate a truce between father and son, but the prince never forgives his father. 2 years later, Alfonso dies, and Peter becomes the new king of Portugal. He immediately orders that the men who murdered Ines be captured and brought to him. The assassins are hunted for years until 2 of them are finally apprehended in Castile in 1361. The 2 assassins are dragged before Peter, and with contempt in his eyes, the king stares at the men who killed his beloved Ines. The men are put on trial in public and found guilty. As punishment, Peter orders their hearts to be ripped out while they are still alive. Some sources say that he himself participated in the execution, screaming,
I would have.
"You have done the same to my heart!" What usually comes next in this story is apocryphal, meaning it may not have actually happened, but it is said that Peter then declared to the crowd that he had married Ines before she died, and that she was his rightful queen. He has Ines's body exhumed, dresses her corpse in the finest clothing, and places her on the throne. Lovingly staring at the remains of his mistress, he crowns
put the head
Ines
back
the
on.
Queen of Portugal. He then forces every single nobleman to swear his loyalty to his queen by kissing her rotting hand. Following this coronation story, which may or may not be true, Peter then had Ines entombed in the Alcobaça monastery. In his final will, Peter orders that when his time comes, he also be laid to rest there with Ines.
Yo, he loved this girl. I mean, like he really loved this girl. Like, god damn.
Inscribed in the marble of his tomb are the words "Até o fim do mundo," until the end of the world. And that is where they both are to this very day. Shi Jianchao. The early half of the 20th century was a time of complete chaos in China. In 1912, due to political pressures, the 6-year-old Qing Emperor Puyi abdicated his throne, officially ending the 268-year-old dynasty. Within just 4 years, the country that was once the most powerful nation in Asia devolved into a land of constant violence.
Is China still like this today? Where it's like all these different countries? Are these countries or are these states? They're these countries, I assume. Well, back then, these were probably countries. They're probably states now.
With areas governed by regional warlords fighting for control over the now toothless government in Beijing. This era is known today as the Warlord Era, and amidst the mayhem, a young woman would make history when she set out on a decade-long quest to avenge the death of her father. It's the 1920s, and Shigolan is a college student in Tianjin.
1920s, hey, we might be getting there.
Unlike most people who were suffering greatly in the warlord era, Gulan's life had taken quite the opposite turn. Her father, Shi Kongbin, had enlisted in the local military, and he quickly rose through the ranks. By 1925, he had gone from being the son of a simple farmer and tofu seller to a brigade general serving a powerful warlord aligned with the Fengxian clique. His family, including Shi Gulan, had in the process gained the status and prestige that came with such a rank. Everything was going great until a second war broke out between the Fengxian and Zhuli cliques that changed her life forever. By October of 1925, the Fengxian had defeated the Zhuli, but a military governor named Sun Chuanfang had used the opportunity to seize control of his area, becoming a very powerful warlord himself. Shi Kongbin is deployed with a brigade of mercenaries to capture a city in Chuanfang's territory, and things initially go well for him. But during the battle, he and his men are caught off guard by a sneak attack led by the warlord himself. Kongbin's forces are quickly overwhelmed, and he is taken hostage. The following day, he is tied up and brought to a local train station. A crowd gathers, and Chuanfang orders his prisoner decapitated. Kongbin's head is paraded around the station on a bamboo pike and then displayed for all to see. News of her father's death reaches the young Shi Gulan, and she
whatever she does in retaliation, well deserved. Cause fuck you mean you beheaded my father, put his head on a stick and started parading around with it.
initially mourns the loss of her father, but soon her tears of sadness burn her cheeks and she is consumed by anger. This warlord had not just killed her father, by displaying his head, he had dishonored his entire family. How could anyone tolerate such disrespect?
You can't let that slide.
That she will stop at nothing to avenge her father and restore her family's honor.
Restore that honor.
That would be much easier said than done. See, Chuanfang was now one of the most powerful warlords in China, and Shi Gulan, well, she was a 21-year-old college kid. The thought of a random student assassinating someone that powerful seemed highly improbable. But Gulan had made up her mind. She changes her name to Shi Jianchao, the Rising Sword, and sets out on a quest for revenge. But before she was able to find Chuanfang, the warlord's life would take the most peculiar turn as well. By 1926, Chinese citizens were sick and tired of the warlord system. A group from the south of China, called the Kuomintang, took advantage of this public sentiment and they set out on their own quest to defeat every warlord in China to reunite the country. This whole event, called the Northern Expedition, probably deserves its own video, but to massively oversimplify the story, the warlords were all defeated by the KMT in about 2.5 years. This didn't really fix the constant fighting in China, but with the warlord system gone, Chuanfang lost everything he had worked for. Left with nothing to show from the last 15 years of being a ruthless warlord general, Chuanfang shaves his head and actually becomes a devout Buddhist. Well,
see, and that's where it's like, damn, niggas are better than me. Because if I came across this nigga face to face, it's too late for that. It's too late to try to make a change now. You done killed my father, put his head on a stick. You dying no matter what stage of life you're in. I'm making sure you going in the ground, nigga. You going in the dirt.
All that is respectable and all, I guess. Shi Jianchao didn't get the memo, and she begins tirelessly working to unearth clues to identify and locate her father's killer. For 10 whole years, she chases leads, traveling hundreds of miles searching for Chuanfang, until finally, she finds him in the city of Tianjin. As she watches the former warlord from the shadows, it takes all of her self-control not to end him right then and there. But she had spent a decade of her life in preparation for this moment. She knew that she would only have one shot to take him down, and she could not waste that opportunity. So, instead, she stalks her prey for months, learning his daily routine until finally, she had selected the perfect place to enact her revenge. On November 13th, 1935, Shi Jianchao steps into a lay Buddhist hall and, as expected, finds Chuanfang kneeling with his eyes closed, leading a group in the chanting of a sutra. As he continues,
type of nigga I am, bro, I wouldn't even care about going to jail. I would have walked up and shot this nigga dead in his face.
The recitation, Shi Jianchao slowly walked directly behind her father's murderer and carefully drew her pistol. She points her weapon at the former warlord and coldly unloads 3 rounds into his head and back. Chuanfang instantly falls dead and the hall erupts into a panic. But instead of trying to run away, Jin Chao proudly sits next to the dead body and
Yeah,
begins
that's
to
all she
hand out
needed.
leaflets she had prepared prior to the killing that explained why she did what she had just done. Shi Jin Chao is arrested for murder, but the media picks up the story of the killing of Chuanfang and it instantly divides the people of China. The traditionalists see her actions as the ultimate form of filial piety, the Confucian doctrine of love and honor for one's parents, while the modernists demand justice and to uphold law and order. Her court case becomes the biggest story of the year.
I feel like they only demanded justice because of he was in that phase of trying to turn his life around by becoming a monk. But it's like you mercilessly killed a bunch of people, not in self-defense. You were just going around killing people. It's like, nah.
And eventually reaches the Supreme Court in Nanjing. Due to overwhelming public support, she was granted a full state pardon, and the killing of Chuanfang was deemed an ethically justifiable act of filial piety. Having avenged her father's death, she peacefully lives out the rest of her days and dies in 1979 at the age of 74. Ain Jalut. Okay, this last story completely blew me away because not only was it the first time someone actually stopped the Mongol conquest in its tracks, it's probably one of the craziest movie-like stories of revenge in history. It's 1231, and the once vast and powerful empire known as Khwarezmia lies in complete ruin. As retribution for the disrespect shown to Mongol emissaries by the governor of Otrar, Genghis Khan and his army had invaded the land, killing an estimated 15 million people as they burned entire cities to the ground. Amongst the remnants of the once proud civilization, the Mongols who continued their occupation of the land find a young Khwarezmian prince and sell him to a slave merchant in Egypt. The boy is purchased by the local sultan and is put into training to become a Mamluk, a warrior class of slaves used by the rulers of the Muslim world as elite knights. The former prince is thrown in with the rest of the slave children and is forced to endure the strictest of training regiments designed to turn
shit.
boys
Oh shit, when this
into
nigga get
children
hands?
and is forced to endure the strictest
Harry? Hold on.
of training
Through the elbow on niggas like he fucking Uzi. I just wanna wow. My fault.
regiments
Other hand,
designed to
hook,
turn
sweep the leg on that nigga. Come
boys
on
into
now.
hardened men. From a young age, he is thrust into combat
Oh my
against other
God, this
children,
nigga-
and he is given the name
this
of
nigga
Kutus,
crazy.
the rabid dog, because he
Kutus.
fights like a vicious beast against the other slaves. Kutus rises through the
Kutus.
ranks and eventually becomes the vice sultan of Egypt in 1253. By now,
Oh,
the
shit.
Mamluks had revolted against their masters and established their own sultanate, becoming the rulers of the land. Against all odds, the former prince had made his way from slavery back to a royal position, but an easy
Oh my God, nah, that story hard, nigga. From royalty to slavery back to royalty, the nigga went back twice. He went back twice. Oh my, this nigga a dog.
life was not his destiny, and ghosts from his past would soon return to haunt him. Though Genghis Khan had died in 1227, his grandson Hulagu Khan had continued the Mongol expansion westward. Like demons, they had brought nothing but death and destruction to every land they touched. In 1254, they sacked the city of Baghdad and massacred all of its inhabitants, ending the Islamic Golden Age. The Mongols then pushed into Syria and took the cities of Aleppo and Damascus. The Ayyubid Sultan sends word to Egypt, pleading for help against the Mongols, and Kutus is haunted by the memories of the destruction of his homeland. He knows the horrors the horde from the east will bring, and if the Mamluks are to have any chance of survival, Egypt must have strong leadership. He deposes the young and inexperienced sultan and takes the throne for himself. As if on
I don't know if he inexperienced. The way I see him putting belt to ass, I mean, he got a couple of, he got a little bit of experience.
cue, Hulagu Khan's diplomats soon arrive in Cairo, and they begin to read a very Mongol-sounding message to the new sultan. From the King of Kings of the East and West, the Great Khan, to Kutus the Mamluk, who fled to escape our swords. You should think of what happened to other countries and submit to us. You have heard how we have conquered a vast empire and have purified the earth of the disorders that tainted it. We have conquered vast areas, massacring all the people. You cannot escape from the terror of our armies. Where can you flee? What road will you use to escape us? Our horses are swift, our arrows sharp, our swords like thunderbolts, our hearts as hard as the mountains. Our soldiers as numerous as the sand, Fortresses will not detain us, nor armies stop us. Your prayers to God will not avail against us. We are not moved by tears nor touched by lamentations. Only those who beg for our protection will be safe. Hasten your reply before the fire of war is kindled. Resist, and you will suffer the most terrible catastrophes. We will shatter your mosques and reveal the weakness of your God, and then we will kill your children and your old men together.
Insane threat. But then again, if 4 bitch ass niggas pulled up to my front door talking about surrender to a nigga I can't even see face to face, I'm killing these 4 niggas right here where I stand. I'm dropping my fucking nuts and preparing for a goddamn war. Cause I'd rather be dead than a slave. Just keeping a buck.
Present, you are the only enemy against whom we have to march. As the messenger speaks his final words, the Mamluk advisors are literally shaking in fear. Qutuz looks to his officials and his blood begins to boil. He calls for counsel away from the Mongol diplomats, and in private, the Sultan begins an impassioned plea to the council. You all have lived good lives funded by the taxes of the people, and now you wish to abandon them? Qutuz continues to argue with those who wish to flee, and his voice begins to quiver with desperation. Finally, he looks to his advisors as tears begin to stream down his cheeks. My brothers, who will defend Islam if not us? The Mongols had taken everything from him as a child. He could not let them do it again. The generals and nobles are moved by his words, and despite knowing they would most likely be accepting their own deaths with the decision, they agree to follow him into battle.
There we go,
With that,
man.
Qutuz and his men
Drop your
solemnly
fucking
return
nuts.
to the Mongol messengers. The Sultan looks towards his guests and calmly gives a signal. His soldiers step forward and slice the diplomats in half.
Exactly what I would have did, nigga. I would have killed your little messenger boy, nigga. Cause what Thug say? Don't send that nigga with a message cause we killed a messenger, nigga. I would have dropped my fucking nuts and prepared for an all-out death battle. Cause I'll be damned to tuck my tail and run away from my land or become a slave to your bitch ass.
Their heads are removed and hung from the south gates of Cairo as an open
See, now they wildin'. Cause they really own that.
act
Hold
of
on.
defiance. A letter is sent to Hulagu notifying the Mongols that the Mamluks will not bow down and will instead fight.
See, now this is where I feel like this is where they was bugging. You didn't have to respond. If you would have just killed them, that would have made them hesitate. Because they would have been unsure of what their response would have been. Then they would have just had to pull up. Probably would have delayed them pulling up or give you more time to get ready.
To the end. Qutuz is soon joined by a rival Mamluk general named Baybars, a man who was also sold into slavery as a child by the Mongols, and they quickly begin to raise an army and set out to confront the enemy from the east. The Mamluks cobble together 24,000 men, but they are vastly outnumbered by the Mongols, nearly 3 to 1. It looks like this will be another trademark Mongol Muslim massacre, but fate intervenes when the great Khan Monka dies. Hulagu is forced to return to his homeland to help decide on the successor, and takes most of his army with him. He leaves his trusted general Kitbuka with around 12,000 warriors to finish the job. Kitbuka had recently converted to Christianity, so he recruits some Christian soldiers from Armenia and Georgia to bulk up his army, and then begins preparations to invade Egypt. Qutuz gets word that Hulagu had left the area, and he and Baybars immediately ride out to force a battle with Kitbuka. They find the Mongols camped near a spring called Ain Jalut in Galilee. Baybars had spent time in the area as a fugitive and was familiar with the terrain, and he comes up with a battle plan to use the Mongols' own tactics against them. The bulk of the Mamluk army, commanded by Qutuz, is left hiding in the trees, and Baybars takes a small detachment to directly attack the Mongols. Baybars
Forcing
and
these
his men
niggas to
charge
run in the
Mongol camp
woods.
and harass them for hours with hit-and-run tactics. Every time the Mongols run out to fight, the Mamluks pull back closer and closer to Qutuz. Eventually, Kitbuka grows frustrated and he orders a full charge. This is exactly what Baybars had been waiting for, and he quickly orders his warriors to fall back. The Mongols, now enraged the Mamluks are again running away, blindly chase them, and Baybars and his men lead them directly to Qutuz. The trap had been set, and the Sultan gives the order. Qutuz's army emerges from the forest, and
shit.
archers send
Caught
a
these niggas
storm
off
of arrows
guard.
down onto the unsuspecting Mongol riders.
Damn, these niggas got terrible aim. One nigga hit off 500 arrows. Goddamn. Well, we had one shot and these niggas blew it.
The Mamluk heavy cavalry then makes a full charge and smash directly into the enemy line. Kitbuka and his warriors are initially shocked by this surprise attack, but they quickly regain their composure and begin fighting back. The battle is brutal, and the Mongols quickly prove that their reputation was well earned as they begin to savagely tear through the Mamluk army. Kutus watches from a distance as his left flank begins to falter, and it appears that the Mongol forces are about to break through. His mind is flooded with memories of his childhood. He cannot let history repeat itself, and so, without a moment's hesitation, Kutus abandons his post and charges headfirst into battle. As he rides, he throws off his helmet and shouts,
Oh, nah, he bugging.
Oh Allah, grant your servant Kutus a victory against these Mongols. His warriors turn to see who is shouting and are shocked to see their sultan riding into battle to fight alongside them. Kutus continues to charge forward. Oh Islam! He screams and his words fill the Mamluks with renewed courage. They regain their composure and they begin to fight back. The battle rages on with Kutus now on the front lines, and soon the Mongols do something they had never done before.
They retreated.
They begin to run in fear. Kitbuka cannot believe his eyes as his warriors flee past him. He tries to rally his remaining men, but it is no use. The Mongol general and those who stayed to fight are all slain in battle. Hulagu Khan receives word of the Mongol defeat at Ain Jalut and is enraged. He orders the execution of the last of his Ayyubid prisoners, but the damage had already been done. The illusion of the Mongol invincibility had been shattered. 5 days after the Battle of Ain Jalut, Kutus and Baybars retake Damascus, and within a month, they also free Aleppo from Mongol control. 2 men who had been sold into slavery as children by the Mongols.
See, and this is what I mean. It's like, fuck you mean bow down and become your slaves. Fuck that, nigga. I'm dropping my nuts and fighting back.
Had pulled off what no one had ever dreamed possible. They
Nah,
had
they did their
stopped
big
the
one.
unstoppable horde from the east, avenged the Khwarezmian Empire, and saved the Muslim and Christian world. Throughout the following decades, the Mongols would attempt multiple invasions into Syria, but would be pushed back time and time again, until eventually the descendants of Hulagu themselves eventually converted to Islam.
Damn. The
If you can't
irony.
beat them, join them, I guess.
Join them.
As
The irony.
for Kutus, as epic as his story is, it ends on kind of a down note, as his army was riding back to Cairo to celebrate their victory at Ain Jalut. He was assassinated by a group of his own soldiers, probably under the orders of Baybars himself.
Damn, that's fucked up. Well, we done went through all these hardships and you gonna slime me out now? You know, with that being said, though, that was most epic revenge stories in history. Let me know how y'all feel about that down below. See y'all boys later.
Why you standing on by yourself? Those shoes are made for dancing with someone else. Why don't we move over to that empty space? I'll bet you $20, I'll put a smile on your face. I know a place where we can dance the night away. Maybe we could try to make the world's best fluid. We could take our time.